Does life keep throwing obstacles your way? Do you sometimes feel like everything is collapsing around you? Marcus Aurelius once said, "The obstacle is the way." But how does cinema illustrate this philosophical idea? Today, we're exploring 20 films that can change your life. As we uncover the inner journeys of these characters, perhaps you'll find a part of yourself within them. Let's begin. 20. The Edge of Tomorrow, 2014. Patience and Learning. Imagine a man, cowardly, insecure, someone who believes he has no place on the battlefield. Yet, he suddenly finds himself in the heart of war. And one day, something completely unexpected happens. Whenever he dies, time resets. In a world where death is inevitable, he finds himself back at the same starting point every time. At first, he tries to run, then he resists, then he falls into despair. But at some point, he realizes that while he cannot change time, he can change how he reacts to it. Slowly, he begins to learn the art of war: combat, strategy, patience. He stops fearing death, because fear is what has been holding him back, and he understands that in this endless cycle, the only way forward is to accept failure, learn, and grow. This is precisely where one of Stoicism's core principles comes into play. Do not expect life to be easy. Strength comes only from enduring hardships first. 19. 7 Years in Tibet, 1997. A Journey to Wisdom. Sometimes a journey isn't just about moving from one place to another. When we are lost within ourselves, true transformation does not come from the outside world, but from how we exist within it. Heinrich Harrer is a man obsessed with reaching the world's highest peaks, a man consumed by ambition. But his journey takes him to an unexpected place: Tibet. Suddenly, he is forced to leave behind the modern world's hunger for success and war. At first, he dismisses this peaceful world, but over time, he realizes something. The people here, despite having far less than him, are far more at peace, happier, and wiser. And so, he confronts a crucial Stoic lesson. The external world does not bring happiness. Happiness is within you. Over the years he spends in Tibet, he learns that life is not just about reaching the summit. It's about experiencing the journey and finding inner peace. 18. Captain Fantastic, 2016. Freedom and Reality. A father raises his 6 children entirely away from modern society, deep in the wilderness. He teaches them philosophy, science, martial arts, literature. These children, who have pursued wisdom from an early age, are far more intelligent, strong, and resilient than their city-dwelling peers. But one day, the father and his children must step into the real world. In the city, people find them strange. The school system does not accept them. And the father starts to wonder, has he created an ideal life, or has he simply been running away? A true Stoic does not just fight for what they believe in. They understand when and how to fight. Caught between his ideals and the reality of the world, the father begins to question everything he once thought was true. And in the end, he realizes this profound truth: there are no absolute truths. Life requires flexibility. 17. Lion, 2016. Belonging and Finding One's True Self. Imagine being a 5-year-old child, wandering through the crowded streets of India with terrified eyes, lost in an endless sea of people. Your family, your home, everything you remember, gone. And just like that, you step into a completely different world. Over time, you find a new family. You grow up in Australia, in a warm home. But something inside you feels incomplete. Years pass. You become a successful young man. But then, one night, a vision of your childhood home appears in a dream. And suddenly, you know, you must find that little child you lost in the past. So you turn to Google Earth, scanning thousands of miles, desperately searching for a place that exists only in your fading memories. Your mind struggles to remember, but your heart guides you. The Stoics say, seeking our own path is life's greatest struggle. This film is not just about a lost boy, it is about rediscovering one's identity, past, and soul. 16. The Straight Story, 1999. Forgiveness and Patience. Alvin Straight is an old man. Throughout his life he has been known as stubborn, harsh, unwilling to compromise. He carries the weight of past mistakes, but his pride has always stopped him from taking a step back. One day he learns that his estranged brother, whom he has not spoken to in years, is seriously ill. Something inside him breaks. But there's a problem. He can't drive. His eyesight is too poor. He can't take a bus. So, what does he do? He gets on a lawnmower, and he begins a journey of hundreds of miles at a speed of only 5 miles per hour. People laugh at him. They mock him. But Alvin doesn't care. Because for him, this is not just a physical journey. It is a journey of redemption, of reconnecting with the people he left behind, and, most importantly, of learning to forgive. Along the way, every person he meets teaches him a lesson about the past, about overcoming pride, about making peace before it's too late. Because some lessons can't be learned by sitting still. They must be learned on the road. Stoic connection. Seneca said, "Time is our most valuable asset because we can never get it back." Alvin cannot change the past, but he can make the right choice for the time he has left. A true Stoic does not dwell on past mistakes. They work to correct them. 15. The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, 2007. Mental freedom. Imagine waking up one morning and being completely unable to move. Jean-Dominique Bauby was once a successful, handsome and intelligent man, but a sudden stroke locks him into a terrifying condition known as locked-in syndrome. His brain functions perfectly, but his body is entirely paralyzed. He cannot walk, he cannot speak, he cannot touch anyone. Yet, he is fully aware. No one hears his screams. But what does Bauby do? He refuses to accept this as the end. Instead, he embraces a Stoic approach. He creates true freedom within his mind. Bit by bit, he begins writing a book, using only his blinking eye. A nurse reads the alphabet. He blinks once to choose a letter. Slowly, he spells out words, sentences, his entire life. This is one of the greatest examples of mental freedom in history. No matter how much life constrains us, what truly matters is how we respond. Stoic connection. Epictetus said, "Freedom is not determined by external conditions. The greatest prison is within the mind." Bauby is physically imprisoned, but his mind remains free. 14. The Perks of Being a Wallflower, 2012. Finding oneself. You're in high school. Talking to people feels impossible. You feel like an outsider, like you're trapped inside your own mind. Charlie is that kind of person. A young boy burdened by past traumas, too afraid to step into the world. He watches from the sidelines. He listens, but he never fully participates. Then, one day, 2 people enter his life, Sam and Patrick. They don't push him too hard, but they slowly pull him out of his shell. At first, it's terrifying, because opening up to people, allowing them in, requires courage. But over time, Charlie starts to break free from his loneliness. However, every moment of happiness carries a shadow. There are memories that refuse to stay buried. Sometimes, just when we think we've escaped our past, it comes rushing back at the most unexpected moments. This is a story of self-discovery, of confronting the past, and, ultimately, of self-acceptance. Stoic connection. He who does not understand himself cannot understand others. Charlie must stop running from himself, because the Stoics teach that the past does not define us, but it does shape us. 13. The Last Temptation of Christ, 1988. Accepting one's fate. Can a person change their destiny? We all know the story of Jesus, but in this film, he is not just a divine figure. He is a man who fears, who hesitates, who must choose. Should he embrace his fate, or should he live a normal human life? The film takes us deep into his inner struggle, because sometimes accepting one's destiny takes greater courage than fighting against it. Stoic connection. Marcus Aurelius said, "Go where fate leads you. Resisting it only brings suffering." Jesus' journey is one of the greatest Stoic lessons. Some things in life are unavoidable. The only choice we have is how we face them. 12th. Life is Beautiful, 1997. Overcoming hardship. Imagine a father, cheerful, full of life, seeing beauty in the smallest things. He makes every day feel like an adventure, turning even the most mundane moments into joy. But one day, his entire world collapses, because World War II arrives and he and his family are sent to a concentration camp. Suddenly, life becomes a nightmare. Hunger, brutality, death, everywhere. But the father refuses to let his son see the horror. He tells the boy, "This is all a game. If he stays quiet, if he hides well, if he follows the rules, he will win a prize." To the child, this is just an adventure. But the father knows the truth. He's keeping his son's innocence alive in a place designed to destroy it. Even in his darkest moments, he smiles. He protects his child's soul, even as his own is being crushed. And we, the audience, slowly come to realize the greatest sacrifice he is making. And yet, despite everything, this film delivers a powerful message. No matter how cruel the world is, a person's dignity, love, and kindness can never be taken away. Stoic connection. Epictetus said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the meaning they give them." The father chooses not to focus on the horror, but on protecting hope, and that is his greatest strength. 11. Wild, 2014. Facing one's demons. Sometimes life collapses on top of us, and some people, instead of being crushed beneath the ruins, choose to carve a new path. Cheryl Strayed has lost everything: her mother, her sense of self, her will to live. So one day, she makes a decision to walk 1,100 miles across the Pacific Crest Trail, alone. No companions, no experience, just a heavy backpack and the weight of her past. At first, it is unbearable. Her feet blister, she faces hunger, she comes close to death more than once. But these are only external obstacles. The real battle is within herself. Because this journey is not just about walking, it's about confronting her past, her failures, her pain, and step by step, she sheds the old versions of herself. The guilt, the regrets, the anger, she lets them go. And at some point, she realizes she has changed, that the person who began this journey no longer exists. And she understands, it's not about what you have done before, it's about what you choose to do now. Stoic connection. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you want to live a happy life, let go of the past." Cheryl learns that what happened to her does not define her. What she does next does. 10. The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, 2013. Stepping out of the comfort zone. A life trapped in routine. A daily cycle of work and home where everything is safe, but nothing is exciting. Walter Mitty is that man. He lives in his head, a world of grand adventures where he is a hero, a traveler, a risk-taker, but in reality, he has never truly lived. Then one day, fate forces his hand. He is thrust into an adventure that is no longer inside his head. This time, it is real. Step by step, he leaves his comfort zone. He takes risks. He enters unknown lands. He places himself in danger. And most importantly, he experiences the real world. One of the film's most powerful lines captures it all. The world is meant to be seen. And Walter Mitty, he finally stops imagining and starts living. Stoic connection. Seneca said, "Life is not meant for preparation, but for living." Walter chooses to live his life instead of just dreaming about it. 9. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, 2008. Mastering Time. Have you ever heard of someone who is born old and grows younger? Benjamin Button's life flows in reverse. He is born as an old man, and, as time moves forward, he becomes younger. Through this strange journey, he experiences life's phases in a completely different order. While others grow old, he becomes younger. While others slow down, he moves faster. He sees the people he loves age, while he remains trapped in a time loop that separates him from everyone else. And at some point, he realizes the truth. Time is not what matters. What matters is what you do with it. One of the most moving lines in the film captures this perfectly. It doesn't matter if life is long or short. What matters is how you live it. Stoic connection. Marcus Aurelius said, "The way you spend your time defines who you are." Benjamin Button cannot stop time, but he can choose what to do with it. 8. Manchester by the Sea, 2016. Accepting pain. Some wounds never fully heal. Lee Chandler is a quiet, withdrawn man, living a small, ordinary life. But when he receives a phone call telling him that his brother has died, he is forced to return to the town he had long abandoned. And as soon as he steps back into that town, it is not just his brother's death that he faces. It is his past, the one he tried to escape. His movements are slow, his voice is quiet, his eyes are filled with something heavy. And then we learn why. Some mistakes can never be undone. No matter how much you wish you could go back and change things, some things are final. And this is where one of the hardest but most realistic Stoic lessons emerges. You cannot fix everything, but you can learn to live with it. Lee spends the entire film battling between running from his pain and learning to carry it. But some battles cannot be won. They can only be endured. Stoic connection. Marcus Aurelius said, "Sometimes life is simply about endurance." Lee's story reflects the Stoic belief that you cannot change pain, but you can control how it affects you. 7. Her, 2013. Emotional independence, loneliness. The modern world's silent epidemic. People are surrounded by millions, yet they feel completely alone. Theodore is one of those people lost in the digital world, searching for connection. Then, one day, he meets Samantha. She isn't a person. She's an artificial intelligence, a voice inside his computer. But she listens. She responds. She understands him. Slowly, he starts to believe that she is real. But here is the real question. Can something that isn't real make you happy? For Theodore, Samantha is more than just software. She fills the gaps in his heart. But in reality, she is just a reflection of him. And so, the film delivers one of the greatest Stoic lessons. Happiness does not come from external things. It must come from within. Because if your happiness depends on something or someone outside of you, what happens when it disappears? This is where Theodore's true transformation happens. He learns that love and fulfillment must first begin within himself. Stoic connection. Epictetus said, "Happiness that depends on others is never truly yours." Theodore's story shows that Stoicism teaches emotional independence as the path to true peace. 6. The Green Mile, 1999. Patience and justice. Some people are born in the wrong place at the wrong time. John Coffey is a prisoner on death row. But when you look at him, you do not see a criminal. He is huge in size but has a heart that is gentle, kind, almost otherworldly. Paul Edgecombe, a prison guard, has seen many men come and go. But when he meets John Coffey, something changes in him. Because John is not just physically large, he is spiritually immense. He carries a mysterious gift. He can heal people's pain, take away their sickness, even absorb their suffering. Yet, the world treats him like a criminal. Justice fails him, and Paul is left torn between his duty and his conscience. Because if a system can destroy someone who is purely good, what does that say about justice? John, despite everything, remains stoic. He knows that fighting fate is useless, and so he walks to his end, not with anger, but with acceptance. And in that moment, we realize what true strength looks like. Stoic connection. Marcus Aurelius said, "Justice is not just about power. It is about patience and virtue." John Coffey's story shows that sometimes true strength is not about fighting, but about standing tall in the face of injustice. 5. Forrest Gump, 1994. Accepting life as it is. Some people spend their whole lives fighting against reality. They question everything, complain, resist. But some people, instead of resisting, embrace life as it comes. Forrest Gump is that kind of person. People call him stupid because he does not overthink. He does not get caught up in complexity. He just accepts life and moves forward. One day, he falls in love. Then he goes to war. Then he becomes a hero. Then he becomes the most famous runner in America. But he never does any of it for a goal. He simply follows the road as it unfolds. People ask him, "Why do you keep running?" And he doesn't answer. Because even he doesn't know, and he doesn't need to. Because Forrest Gump unknowingly embodies one of Stoicism's greatest lessons. Do not fight against what you cannot control. Accept it, move forward, and that is why he never gives up. Even when he's abandoned, even when he's alone, he keeps running. One of his most famous quotes sums it up perfectly. "My mom always said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get." Stoic connection. Epictetus said, "Do not wish for things to be different. Love them as they are." Forrest does not try to change life. He embraces it. And perhaps that is why, while everyone else struggles, he always finds his way. 4. The Shawshank Redemption, 1994. Patience and resilience. Imagine being wrongfully accused of a crime you didn't commit. One day, you wake up free. The next, you are trapped in a prison for life. Andy Dufresne enters Shawshank Prison as an outsider. A quiet, intelligent man thrown into a world of violence, corruption, and despair. Here, hope is a dangerous thing. The men around him have been broken by time. The walls of Shawshank have stripped them of their identity. They have forgotten what freedom feels like. But Andy, he is different. He refuses to let the prison define him. Instead of surrendering to the system, he begins to carve a way forward. He studies, he learns, he builds, and most importantly, he waits. For years, he chips away at the prison walls, stone by stone, patient and unshaken. The men around him believe that no one can escape Shawshank, but Andy knows the truth. Freedom is not just about walking out of a door. It is about keeping your mind free, no matter where you are. And so, after decades of silent persistence, he achieves the impossible. Andy Dufresne doesn't just escape from Shawshank. He proves that no prison, no injustice, no system can break the human spirit. Stoic connection. Seneca said, "Freedom is not about where you are, but how you think." Andy understands that he cannot control his situation, but he can control how he reacts to it. His story is one of the greatest Stoic lessons in cinema. True freedom is not given, it is created. 300, 2006. Conquering the fear of death. Spartans are not born warriors, they are made into warriors. From childhood, they are trained to embrace pain, discipline, and sacrifice. And among them, King Leonidas stands above all. When the Persian Empire sends an army of 1 million soldiers to conquer Greece, Leonidas is given a choice. Bow down to the Persian king and surrender, or fight with only 300 men. He doesn't hesitate, because for him, death is not something to be feared. He leads his warriors into battle, knowing they are outnumbered, outmatched, and outlasted, and yet they fight with absolute conviction, because for them, the real enemy is not the Persians. The real enemy is fear. They do not ask, "Will we survive?" They ask, "Will we fight with honor?" Leonidas speaks one of the most Stoic lines in cinema. "Tonight we dine in hell," because he understands that death is inevitable. And what matters is not when or how you die, but how you live. In the final moments, when the Spartans are surrounded, Leonidas does not run. Instead, he stands tall, because he has already won, not in battle, but in conquering fear itself. Stoic connection. Marcus Aurelius said, "Death is nothing to fear. It is simply a part of nature." The Spartans do not fear death because they have already mastered life, and so they become immortal. 2. The Revenant, 2015. Revenge or survival? Cold, silence, the endless wilderness. Hugh Glass is left for dead, betrayed, mutilated, abandoned in a frozen wasteland. At first, his only thought is revenge. The man who left him to die, he must pay. But as Glass crawls through the snow, with every breath, he starts to realize something. His battle is not with another man. His battle is with himself. Because revenge is just another form of slavery, and so he shifts his focus. Not on the past, not on hatred, but on survival. He does not chase vengeance, he chases life, and in the end, he learns the ultimate Stoic lesson. Pain does not destroy you, it only destroys those who refuse to accept it. Stoic connection. Epictetus said, "When someone wrongs you, ask yourself, do you wish to be their prisoner forever?" Glass chooses not to be a prisoner of his past, because revenge does not heal. It only feeds the fire. And sometimes the greatest victory is simply walking away. 1. Gladiator, 2000. Honor and patience. What we do in life echoes in eternity. Maximus was once a general, a leader, a man of honor. But betrayal stole everything from him. His family murdered, his empire taken, his name erased. And now He is a slave, a gladiator, fighting for survival, thrown into the blood-soaked arenas of Rome. But he does not fight for revenge. He does not fight for freedom. He fights because a true Stoic does not let his circumstances define him. Even in chains, Maximus is still a general. Even in the dirt, he still holds his honor. And slowly, he rises. Not through rage, not through desperation, but through patience, through wisdom, through the understanding that fate can take everything from a man except his dignity. And when his moment arrives, he does not hesitate. He stands before the emperor who destroyed his life, and he chooses honor over vengeance, because a Stoic does not seek power, he seeks virtue. Stoic connection. Marcus Aurelius said, "The true measure of a man is how he faces his fate." Maximus proves that honor is not something given by the world. It is something you carry within yourself. And so, he dies, but he does not lose, because his name, his story, his spirit live forever. The ultimate Stoic lesson from cinema life is unpredictable. It will test you, break you, throw you into storms you never asked for. But the Stoics knew a secret. You do not control what happens to you. You only control how you respond. And that is why every one of these films carries the same message. Pain is not the enemy. Fear is. Control is an illusion. Adaptation is power. The past does not define you. Your choices do. So the next time life challenges you, ask yourself, will you fight it? Or will you flow with it? Because the obstacle is not in your way. The obstacle is the way.